Hi guys, and welcome to part 3 of my Ring review series. You'll find all my other Ring reviews in my Ring playlist, which I only just recently created. So today I'm going to be covering Spiral, which was the first attempt at a sequel to the 1998 version of Ring. Bizarrely, both Ring and Spiral were made at the same time, and they were also released on the same day. So on January the 31st, 1998, Ring came out, and also its sequel, Spiral, on the same day. I've never known this happen before with any pair of movies. I know in America they will often commission multiple movies for the same franchise. Think of something like Avatar, for example, where they've committed all the way up to Avatar 5, but they're not going to release like 3 and 4 on the same day, or 4 and 5 on the same day. They'll stagger those releases across a good number of years, and this is something that's happened before with things like Pirates of the Caribbean and Star Wars, but it's very rare, if ever, that you'll see 2 films from a series like that released on the same day. They just won't do that, will they? I know a few years ago on Netflix they released 3 Fear Street movies within the space of about a month. That was kind of weird at the time. And crossing over into the world of music, I know once upon a time Guns N' Roses released 2 albums on the same day, Use Your Illusion 1 and Use Your Illusion 2, but it's a weird thing to do in movies. You're making the assumption that people are going to see one movie and like it so much that they're going to go back to the cinema that same week and see another movie. Yeah, you're going to lose some money doing things that way, surely, but that's what they did with Ring and Spiral, and I presume that it wasn't hugely successful because this happened at the end of the 90s, and I don't think it's really happened much ever since. And also with this second film, Spiral, it wasn't very well received. Apparently it didn't make as much money as the first Ring film, to the extent that they actually pretty much cast off this film Spiral and decided to make another direct sequel to Ring called Ring 2, which would come out a couple of years after this pair of films. Makes you wonder why they didn't just call Spiral Ring 2, but that's for another day, I guess. So the plot for Spiral, it directly follows on from the 98 Ring film. We've got a new character called Mitsuo. I'm terrible at pronouncing Japanese names, so I do apologise if I start butchering all sorts of Japanese names in this review, as apparently I've done in some of the previous Ring reviews. But we've got this guy Mitsuo. He's a surgeon, and he's also an old friend of Ryuji, that guy who died at the end of the first Ring film. And it's Mitsuo who does the autopsy of Ryuki, and he starts to become fascinated about the fact that this supposedly healthy 40-year-old guy died in this way. So he then starts to conduct his own investigation as to what could have happened to him, and that leads him to the videotape and the world of Sadako. But this isn't just a rehash of the first film. We get some new elements here. Sadako can now kill in different ways to just the videotape, so that there's a weird virus thing that's about now, where even if somebody doesn't watch the tape, they can still die, just even if they've just been in the vicinity of the tape, or if they've been in the vicinity of a certain diary that one of the main characters was writing during the events of the first movie. I like the fact that this is now happening. It just means that there's more danger, and we're not just getting the same thing all over again. There are some other new elements introduced in the final third of this film which are less successful, and I'll come to those in a short while. I'm not going to start naming the director and the actors who are in this, because they're mostly just Japanese names who I don't recognise, and I've not seen any of their other works really. Although there is one guy who returns from the first film, Hiroyuki Sanada, a guy who I call the most famous Japanese actor in Hollywood. He played Ryuji in the first movie, and he also does a few cameo scenes in this one. So I'm guessing, because these 2 films were made at the same time, I'm guessing he could have been on the set of the first Ring film, and the director might have said to him, look, the director of the sequel needs you for a couple of scenes. Do you mind popping over to that movie and then popping back? It could have been something like that. This film certainly begins a lot more slowly than its predecessor, so whichever version of original Ring you watch, you always get a really good kill to start off with, but not in Spiral, or Raisin as it's also known, but I prefer the title Spiral, probably because it's the one on Wikipedia. in this film, we kind of just meander through the first 20 minutes, getting to know Mitsuo as he goes about his daily business. He's really depressed. He lost his son at some point in the past, so it's sort of understandable. And then he does this autopsy on Ryuji, which makes him even more depressed. But it takes a while to get to all things Sudoku and videotapes. But I like that about this film. As long as you've got the patience for this kind of opening, I think you're well rewarded, because seriously, one of the great things about this script is the fact that all the Sudoku business, it just kind of creeps into this story from the sidelines, just slowly and carefully, a bit like Sudoku herself making her way slowly and carefully from the well to the TV screen in the first movie. But there will be people out there who watch this and would like, the main business to come upon us more quickly. But I like the approach of this, I've got to say. And the new characters are pretty good. Mitsuo definitely reminds me of the main guy from 95 TV Ring, albeit this guy's a lot more depressed, obviously. And the main leading lady in this, whose name is Mei, she was the girlfriend of Ryuki from the first movie. So this actress who plays Mei, she's kind of done the opposite thing to Hiroyuki Sanada, who I was talking about earlier. So Sanada, he's one of the mainstays of the first Ring film, and he's done a few cameo scenes in this one, whereas the Mei character, she's one of the mains in this film, Spiral, but she's also done a couple of scenes in 98 Rings. So the two films they're definitely companion pieces to each other, even though they're not crossing into each other's timelines, if you get me. Mei has some psychic abilities or something, and so does Ryuku, actually. And this is a really cool element about this film as well. It doesn't feel like overload, the fact that we're having these extra supernatural things added to a plot that's already a really big concept. This spirit who can kill through videotapes and stuff. Comparable, I'd say, is the first Puppet Master movie, where you get a psychic character in the mix, but the fact that they've added that doesn't affect our enjoyment of watching a film about puppets running around killing people, if you see what I mean. Going back to Ryuji, I've got to say, I like his character much more now I've seen this sequel, where he's dead. I said in my review for 98 Ring that his character was a little bit bland. He just has the same stern face all the time. The character's not really fleshed out. But even though he's not in many scenes in the second film, he's talked about a hell of a lot by Mitsuo, who used to know him, and by Mei, his ex-girlfriend. And he's spoken about mostly in quite favourable terms as well. And I feel like I really like the guy now. I can really put a picture in my head now of what this guy was like, and I think he was a very interesting character with his little code games that he liked to play in his introverted ways, and his hidden psychic abilities, or his ability to predict the future, or whatever it is. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how many years it's going to be before I watch 98 Ring again, now that I've only just watched it, but certainly when I do eventually get back to it, I think I will like that character a lot better. The relationship between Mitsuo and Mei is very well crafted. They're a very cute little couple, and I like their little heart-to-hearts that they have. I also think some of the location work in this film is very well done. I mean, there's no spectacular vistas or anything like that, but some of the places they've managed to find to shoot just simple dialogue scenes that look very, very cool somehow. But I did say earlier that there was something introduced into this film which is not that good, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that now. So I'm basically referring to the entirety of the last 10-15 minutes and everything that's suddenly introduced, because the ending to this film honestly is utter dog shit, and it took me aback, because up until that point this is a really nice mystery film. It's very professionally made, well written, well acted, well paced, but for the finale, they just throw the kitchen sink at you with all these wild ideas, and none of them work. This is meant to be a really subtle form of horror, or Ring, but it's like bad fan fiction, the final act of this film. With about 15 minutes to go, I was genuinely thinking that the first film and this one were about level with each other in terms of quality. That's how much I was enjoying this one. But whereas the first film really finishes things off great with that final kill, Spiral just goes completely the other direction, to the point where the two films end up being miles apart in quality. But in terms of this review, I'm going to finish off with a positive, because one thing I haven't mentioned so far is the fact that I laughed quite a few times during this, to things that I'm not even sure were deliberate jokes. So there's this thing in this film where Mitsuo occasionally breaks a videotape because he's trying to destroy all possible ways that people can die. But he doesn't just destroy the tapes, he obliterates them. I mean, he really goes to town on some of these cassette tapes, and it's kind of funny to watch. It reminded me actually of Bill Murray in Groundhog Day, you know, when he's smashing the alarm clocks and there's a little montage. They should have done a montage in this of Mitsuo just breaking loads of videotapes to Sonny and Cher or something. There's also a moment where, so just after the autopsy scene, Ryuji's body is being put into a coffin, and just as he goes in, he randomly just calls out, Ando, that's Mitsuo's surname. And there's no reason for him doing this. Mitsuo kind of turns around to look at the coffin, and the coffin's shut. Ryuji's no longer there, so it's like, why did they even put that in there? And another really funny moment. So Mitsuo is having a fight with a journalist, an actual fist fight in this communal office space, and all these workers just grab them off each other. But just as they're doing that, and the scene is about to cut, somebody punches Mitsuo from off camera. You just see this arm come into the shot and hit him in the face, and then we cut. And it's like, where did that arm come from? Who was it? I don't know if that was intended as something funny, but it really did make me laugh. But on the whole, even though I did enjoy this film, I can see why they pulled a mulligan on it, because that ending, whoa, it's bad. I should have expected something like that. It was all going too smoothly, this film, for the longest time. So before I leave you, I will quickly show you the version of the film that I have for this. Now, one thing I forgot to do at the end of my Ring 98 review was show you my Blu-ray for that film. So I'm going to show you the Blu-rays that I have for both movies right now. They're both from the same set. So I bought this Ring Collection set. It's done by Arrow. It cost me £35. And at the time I thought that's quite pricey for 3 movies. So you get Ring, Ring 2 and Ring 0 with this. But what I didn't know at the time of purchase is that Spiral comes with it as well. It's not advertised on the box. It's just in the small print kind of a thing. So I'm pleased about that. 3 movies for £35 has now suddenly turned into 4 movies for £35, and it's been remastered, same as the other ones as well. A really good, clear picture. I was expecting to have to dig out Spiral on YouTube or some random streaming site or something, but no. I was able to get it through this, which is really good. So that's that. Let's get to the bag of terror and find out how I'm going to score this movie. So we've got 1, 2, 3 bloody axes out of 5. That is as much as I can credibly give this film, given the fact that the ending is so bad. And I'm disappointed because, like I said, I was really enjoying it for way over an hour, and then we get that ending. But see what you think and let me know in the comments below. I'll be back soon to do the do-over Ring sequel, Ring 2. Until next time, cheerio, bye-bye.